So good morning again. Ignazio Pisano, EuropCar. EuropCar is the European leader in car rental. We are present all over 130 countries in the world. Our ambition is to become a leading global provider of mobility services, so to go beyond car rental, really. We're trying to go this way with organic growth and, of course, by acquiring startups and new actors in new mobility. Is there any astronomer in this room? That's a pity, because I might have a $1.2 million job. If somebody is able to run this big facility behind me, this is called FAST. It happens to be the world's largest radio telescope. It is situated in China. And apparently, they're not able to find somebody who has the experience, the skills, the expertise to run such a big facility. Look, this is not an astronomy class, but this example will help me to make some of the points I want to make today. Again, as we said, data rich, information poor. I really wanted to answer some of these questions that Leo suggested me as the topic we might want to cover today. Are we humans erratic? I believe so. And I tried to figure if we are erratic, how we are erratic, and how we can improve that. Of course, I'm talking about very easy examples of the day-to-day business. Look at the chart behind me. This represents the number of murders and homicide cases reported, and apparently police forces and crime fighters have done a terrific job to reduce this, because if you look at last period, look how the trend goes down. Too bad they're not comparing really the like-for-like period. They're just taking into account a very short time span at the end. That's why it seems that they're going down, but they don't really go that much down. This is a very basic example of the way we are reporting erroneously data, which happens every day. That's a poll. A very simple poll, maybe a Sunday poll. If you focus on the pie chart, look at these little slices and how they are represented. It looks like the Liberal Democrats that only got 14 seats. They have got much more than the S&P, it got 34. And that the UKIP, that unfortunately was out of luck for this election, it looks like they have a portion of something, which indeed is not true. Again, this is a very small day-to-day example of how we are erratic when reporting figures. And then you always have that one colleague that pops up and say, look, I have finally found the dashboard, the perfect dashboard, the ultimate dashboard. It will make so much easier to understand why we're not making the budget. And then it comes up with this cryptic, multi-dimensional chart that he alone is able to understand, and no one else, which looks something like this. And again, you're giving information, but you're not really giving insights, and you're giving data, but not insights and information. Now, it is true that we're living in a world of data. We probably have much more data than we are able to crunch. I believe it's not really about the technology that we have, which is important, of course, but it's also about the management skills. If you have a lot of data, you also need to have the management skills to delegate decision-making and to teach your people, the people working with you, how they should not only take decision out of data, but tell their colleagues and their fellows to take decision-making, to take decisions as well. So it's not only about technology and everything, but also about people, especially about people. And this will come later in the presentation. EuropCar launched a big data project about a year ago. I had a chance to be the project manager, and I have sweet memories of this project. And I remember one thing, when we wanted to introduce a new concept of dashboard, for instance, and we sat with one of our business executives, big representatives, chiefs, vice president, etc. And we sat and say, look, this is what we think we should do. Just tell us, what would you like to see in this dashboard? And it just listed down about 100 indicators, And he was so excited about it that each and every of these 100 indicators looked indispensable to him. And what I learned from it is people that are working with data, they really want to recommend and suggest and help the others, the decision takers, to find out what they want to see, rather than asking them what they want to see. Otherwise, for them, everything is a new toy. Every indicator is important and indispensable. There's a lot of buzzword about data, data here, data there, everything is data. But what do people think about data? I found this survey on the internet, basically. I believe the source is Harvard Business Review, the website, and apparently half of the executives of this Fortune 1000 companies said that they have achieved measurable results by implementing a data strategy. But if you look at the different elements in the chart behind me, you see that, for instance, they're very successful when it comes to use data for instance, decrease expenses, but they're much less successful when it comes to establish a data-driven culture. We are all still struggling with changing the culture of the company and with the change management in general. A couple of years ago, I had the chance to read this book. The author of this book is Professor Davenport. The title is Competing on Analytics. It's nothing really new. It was published a few years ago, but now there's a new edition that was released, I believe, earlier this year. This professor says, in a nutshell, you extract value from data and information when you really exploit data and technology and turn them into something that can change the way you do business. He actually says that companies not only have to compete on sales, marketing, products, and everything else like normal, but they also have to compete on analytics. He defined an approach to data that is called the Delta approach. It's an acronym. I want to drive you this approach. So D stands for, of course, data clean, accessible, unique. It might sound obvious that data should be clean. Of course it should, but it must really be clean. Pure, 100% pure, and accessible. People must be granted with access for data. They don't need to ask permission and send emails to get a report because it's getting too slow. And we're just reminded that we have now to take into account transaction in real time in a large number. Enterprise focus. Instead of managing data in silos, we really want to make data and exploit data throughout the organization, throughout the whole company, not just give data to isolated teams. I do remember this gentleman, Mark from Skyscanner, last year was here, and he told something that I personally agree with. We have to put our data people next to our business people. We don't have to concentrate and isolate data people. We have to put data where the business needs. So put your data analysts, data scientists, whatever you have in your company next to your business people. Leaders at all levels, and I'm talking about the CEO as well. They need to advocate data. They need to give the good example. They need to show the others, especially the people working with you, that the company takes decision based on data, really data-driven decision. It's important to give the good example. And of course, we cannot equally focus on all domains when it comes to data. Just choose the key business areas, your key targets. You can't be good at everything. Just select your target and go for it. And of course, the A, analyst. This is a whole new paradigm. So we need to have talented, skilled people. You cannot just simply buy a bunch of Excel 2017 license and then ask your people, where's my artificial intelligence thing now? You really want to put people that are skilled, that are trained, and truly expert. The foreword of this new edition of the book I just quoted before is written by the CEO of UPS. UPS started an interesting project called Orion about a decade ago. They've thrown, of course, a lot of money out of it, but UPS is a giant. This project is basically now a program that is able to define the routing on a daily basis for drivers that have to, deliver their packages and stuff. And once a day, this thing is dispatched, so that each driver knows what is the route they have to take to optimize the fuel consumption and their time. And eventually, the new evolution of the software will be able to change the routing in real time, based on weather forecast, based on the price of the fuel. And actually, the CEO says this project actually saves $400 million a year in economies and avoidances, which is big. But it tells us something. It takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of effort, so there's no miracle, there's no free meal. It's really a lot of time and effort and planning. So to sum it up, I want to switch from data that support decision to data that help us doing decision making. And of course, the more we delegate, the more this will become something like decision management. We will soon, probably some of us, certainly the big company, have already switched from big data to all data. Those who have the technology, the structure, the organization, the culture to do that. We want to integrate analytics with production and system. We don't want to take analytics there in the beautiful analytics software, whatever. We really want to integrate them in the other system and use them in real time. And something that I came across is a paper recently from a university that studied that, when it comes to task conflict, they found out, but that's nothing new. They found out that the more you share information, the more you ease basically the task conflict. But what they found out is, of course, that this leads to better decision. So encourage the sharing of information because it is scientifically proven that this leads to better decision. Just to end up with the book, Professor Davenport says that we're now at Analytics 4.0, for those who like this kind of notion. It means the era of autonomous analytics. When you hear the word autonomous analytics, the first question, at least myself, that pops up into my mind is, will machine take our jobs? Well, I unfortunately cannot foresee the future. Personally, I do not believe machine can take our jobs today. Maybe one day, maybe when the cognitive technologies in general will be mature enough, maybe one day they will. But the truth is today, with few exceptions, we're not the NASA, we're not Google, we're not these big companies. But except these few exceptions, data today needs to be contextualized. And in most of the cases, you need a human to contextualize data. So, well, probably one day machine will take this job, but not today and not everywhere. Something tells me that there are no miracles when it comes to data. When you hear people talking about the fantastic things they're doing, ask for figures and ask for achievable results, which is why I wanted to point out what UPS was able to do, to measure results and finally tell I'm able to save 400 million a year. So that's really the point. There are no miracles. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of sweat, like everything else that we do. On top of the technology and everything else, I do personally believe that privacy and security are of the utmost importance. There's no week without hearing of a data leakage, a hacker's attack that cracked this or that big website. I believe privacy and security must stay with us very close to drive long-term customer value. Some of you might say, well, we are here year after year and we're hearing always the same thing. How are we running in circles? I think I give you a story that can address this thought. Years ago, a student was doing his final examination, and he thought that the question he was asked were the same of the previous year. And he asked his professor, aren't those the same questions of last year's final exam? And the professor, that happens to be Einstein, said, yes, they are the same question, but this year the answers are different, which probably is the same for us, because technology is evolving, culture is evolving, and the environment in general around data is evolving. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope that basically at the end of this conference, we can come back and be ready or a little readier to compete on analytics. Thank you.